The Manager Workstation is designed to assist the store manager or operator to be able to set up and configure and report information at the store level. There are many areas of the Manager's Workstation that are used on a daily basis. Please refer to your Manager's Workstation quick reference guides to give you some of the top tasks that you may use on a daily basis. I'm going to overview just a few of these. Begin with understanding the Manager Workstation has a series of buttons that are set up in a menu style that allow a manager to go configure or report certain pieces of information. The first thing to know is that the top level has a picture associated with each button. If you see a picture, you're at the top level of the menu. You'll notice that there are several areas here dealing with closing a period or your day close, accounting functions, reporting functions, pricing functions, fuel functions, and setup functions. At the very bottom, there's something called feature activation that is used by a technician to activate certain functions on the passport system at initial setup. One of the things we want to make sure you understand first is, as you talk about some of the functions in the system, it is a building process. For those who are converting from a G-Site system, this is not unfamiliar to you in that when you set up your G-Site system using your manager mode key, there were different things you had to do initially to be able to have your store completely configured before you could operate it. Many of these functions are located under the Setup button. When you select Setup, there are things such as setting up an employee, setting up some of your store functions, setting up how you run your forecourt or your fueling, setting up how you deal with the credit network and how you configure that, setting up your car wash, setting up the fact if you're merchandising at your crend, such items that are dry stock items, not just car wash items. First is setting up an employee. Very simply, when you set up each employee, you must enter certain pieces of information. Have their own unique ID and password, and in the base functions of Passport, we only allow 20 active employees. Now with one of our feature bundles you can actually have more than 20, but sometimes you may need to think about assigning employee IDs instead of making them all unique, because they will remain in the system for a period of time if an employee should leave. When you create a new employee or add an employee, there are certain areas of information that you do need to enter, such as their name, their birth date, their phone number. You also need to assign them a security group, which we do have several already configured in the system. We will discuss that in more detail, as well as preferences. Key things to note is if they're right or left-handed, do they want a calculator or a telephone-based keypad, and how you want to handle the way they balance their till when they close their till if they are operating one of the cash drawers or the cashier workstation. That must all be completed and saved. Those store settings are actually located under Setup Store and an application called Store Options. Under Store Options is where you're able to enter information such as site information, once again, the password, default password, password links, how long passwords last, things such as logging on how long you would like to keep data around in your store. Notice here we have receipts set currently for 14 days. That can be a greater number than 14. How long you're going to keep electronic journal data around and other important items here. So that is another area that you need to make sure you set is your store options. Past that point, when you're actually configuring your site from scratch, there is a form factor that you need to follow as far as setting up your store. You need to set up, for instance, your taxes if you're not converting it from a G-Site or having a back office download that. That is also located under the set up store menu. You need to set up your departments if you're not getting those automatically from a back office or a G-Site conversion. How you're managing restrictions at your store. Do you have restrictions where you're going to be having, if you're a must be 21, do you have blue laws in place? How old does, what times and periods of the day do you say that you're restricting the sale of an item? That type of information you need to have configured. Once you've set up the departments and the taxes and the restrictions, you're now able to set up actual items, which is located under the pricing menu at the top level. Now, if you do have a back office, note that you can set those items up from your back office and push that over to the Passport. But once you've configured all your items, you actually then have the ability to set up any one of these particular items. See here you have those listed, ones that are in the system. When one of those items come up, you actually can enter the POU number associated with it, what its price per unit is, as well as we do have several different promotional opportunities here as far as buy one get one free, loss leader, 3 for $1. You can associate any scan code with it, as well as any linked items. If you sell a certain item, something else would automatically be sold with it. Now, once again, those items could be downloaded from the back office or converted from your existing G-Site, and you always have the option of entering that in yourself. Now, once again, remember, one of the things that Passport does offer, if you do not know how to do a particular function, there is an ability to hit the help button, and the help button in Passport will actually give you a listing of all the things you can do with the system. There is a table of contents that will give you a good broad-based category of how to look for things like how to set up an employee. So here you go, just what we did, how to add a new employee, and it will show you the steps, tell you where to go, and give you some nice pieces of information to help you move forward. There's also the ability to just search for a particular topic, like employee, where it will give you that information. Very similar to what you do on the internet, you can actually enter a search engine type question and find that information out from the Passport itself. So don't forget that the online help is available both on the manager's workstation and the cashier workstation, and they're both unique for what you're doing at that time. Some other areas that are important to you from a pricing perspective is a fuel price change. A fuel price change is easily done by a manager from going through the fuel price change application. A very simple step is if they want to change everybody's price by 3 cents, they can select all 3 areas by holding down the shift key and clicking with the left mouse, and just increasing prices by 3 cents. You notice the pending price is showing up here on the right hand side, and they can have it happen immediately at the end of day, or do not send, which means the cashier can activate it once they've updated the price sign or at a certain time of day. It's just that simple. Another area that was mentioned earlier is the setting up of security groups. Under Setup Store, Security Groups Maintenance, a manager or owner of the store can actually decide what are the roles of people in their store and what they are allowed to do. For instance, you can see a cashier located here that's given a security level of 30. Now notice that's lower than the higher level, which is the owner. But if I were to look at the things that a cashier is allowed to do, there are certain things that a cashier is not allowed to do that you see listed on the left-hand side. Many of those are things that are located within the manager workstation. But from a point-of-sale side, you'll notice over here on the right side there are many things they are allowed to do. Unlike our G-Site system, which was very much key-driven, there was a green key that drove a cashier function. Here, you actually have the flexibility to turn off or on functions that a particular cashier could be able to do and create multiple roles, such as a junior cashier, an assistant manager, that may have unique capabilities for that particular role. It is very flexible, but you do need to understand what are the different functions that you want to use the system for. I would now like to show you a few features within the Passport system that may help you generate loyalty, please your customer, and have them coming back for more. One area that really has a lot of visibility today is the ability to discount fuel to help bring a customer back. Now, this discount can be driven by a variety of things, and we're going to show you just a few right now. Located in the manager's workstation, under the Fuel button, you will see an application called Fuel Discount Maintenance. Now, under Fuel Discount Maintenance, you'll actually see there are 4 tabs along the top. These are 4 different areas that you can actually discount fuel for a customer based upon a particular action. The first on the rightmost side is discounting by cash. Now, this can be applicable for inside and outside sales, and if you do have a cash acceptor located at your location. Now, the other thing to remember is that this is a way to discount by cash to create, in essence, a cash credit price, but we do also support the ability to do cash credit pricing if you have a physical dispenser with dual PPUs, price per unit LEDs located at the dispenser. That is also supported within Passport. This is just a way to discount the posted price based upon the purchase of cash. Now, note here, for that cash tender, you actually by grade can decide what types of fuel discounts you want to offer. They do not have to be all the same. Other than cash, there's one called Fuel Discounts by Carwash. Now, if you do have car washes at your site, you're able to create a multitude of fuel discounts, or just one, based upon the purchase of a particular wash. Notice here on the screen I've actually got a wash discount. If they buy a basic wash, they get a certain amount off per grade, which means it's actually, for this scenario, giving someone a better discount if they buy Supreme. There's also one called a deluxe wash that I've created that really just says you're going to get a discount if you just happen to buy a higher price wash. You could come up with as many ideas as you want. They're not restricted, and it can also be unique per grade. There's also a discount by card type. Now, this card type is unique for every network that we support. You will actually show the network cards that are downloaded to your store. You can discount by a particular card. This is actually an ExxonMobil based system, so I'm showing you a discount for ExxonMobil and SpeedPass. But if you were any other major oil, you could discount based upon whatever cards are downloaded to you from that major oil network. They will actually show in the listing over here on the right of the type of cards that are available. Finally, there's the ability to do a manual fuel discount, which is pretty much saying if you wanted to give a discount for a person based upon something they do inside the store, either it's a certain day of the week, they have a special coffee card, or something that you want to offer them a discount, this allows you to create a special manual fuel discount that can be handled for either a post-pay fuel cell or an inside fuel cell of some type. Notice you can give amount off per unit, as well as even free fuel if that's something you want to do for an inside customer. Now note, every one of these fuel discounts are reported in our fuel discount summary report, which is available at day close and on demand. We do tell you how much was saved or given away. Also, our fuel discounting does provide at the dispenser, on both the receipt and on the display, a quick reminder of what was saved in that transaction. Fuel discounting really pleases the customer and is a great feature for you to utilize within your Passport system.